Hey, Veronica, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, Don. How are you?
Good. You notice I didn't say how are you this afternoon
You're right. You didn't. How come?
because it's not afternoon where you're at, it is where I'm at.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, so see, good communication skills requires that you know your environment, who you're talking to, and what's going on around you, right?
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes I'm real good about that, and other times I really need to pay more attention.
Hey, it happens to us all. Trust
Doesn't
me,
it?
the only reason I did that is because when we first jumped on before the hangout started, we were talking about it's afternoon here and morning there. So I'm in Dallas, Texas, for those of you who don't know, and Veronica's out in sunny, wild California.
Yeah, and believe me, we're not all surfer dudes.
That's great. So Veronica recently wrote about three interesting topics around the discussion of communication. And I can't wait for you to share those with us because as you were sharing them with me just a few minutes ago, I was literally coming out of my seat just with excitement over what you had to share with us today. So share with us what those things are that you recently wrote about.
Well, there's three statements that people are real challenged to say, and these three statements or three sentences are I love you, I'm sorry, and the last one, oh my goodness. What did I say the last one was? Will you help me?
Will you help me? But that's a big one.
Yeah, it is. And if we want to receive into our lives the things that we'd like to receive, we've got to be able to say those things.
So repeat them for us again.
Okay, I love you.
Love you.
I'm sorry. Will you help me?
Well, you have, boy, those are all three monsters. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. You know, I would say that for those that are younger in their marriages or people that are a little less secure with themselves because they grew up in tough environments, I love you is really a hard thing for people to say. I know my grandfather, who I just think the world of and admire and love him. He's one of my heroes. And he's in his mid 80s now, and I just love every minute I get with him. But growing up, my mother would tell you that she never heard him say "I love you" because he comes from a different generation where those types of emotion. He was raised in a way that those kind of emotions aren't communicated. Now that he's in his elderly years, he talks about it and how he wishes he would have done a lot of things differently back when.
Mhm.
But that's true of a lot of people still. A lot of people have a hard time with that emotion and saying "I love you."
It's true with the cultural divide as well. The Asian community that's not just something that they toss around or express, as easily as some of us do. So absolutely, culture has something to do with it. The decade that we come from. You mentioned about pain, the how we grew up and what we struggled with, and whether or not we're open to it, but also personalities.
Yeah.
Personality types have something to do with it too.
So what type of personalities do you think would be predisposed to not being willing to share those words or those emotions?
Well, I teach my clients a very simple way in helping them to understand uh, who they're interacting with. And there's five different colors that I teach on, and I separate them into sisters. So there's three in one and two in the other. There's red, gold, and green, and those three are sisters. And then there's blue and orange. Blues and oranges have a really easy time saying things like that. They're very emotional and they express things well. Greens are very private people. They express it less, and uh, loyalty is really important to them. So they want to see that first before they're going to be telling you "I love you." That's really something from their heart. Golds and reds are pretty much the same. Um, they Reds are not very sensitive people, so "I love you" is kind of mushy. Yeah. And
Yeah.
goals are more task oriented. They are more success driven. So they're not thinking about all the emotions of I love you either. And I think they need to those two, the golds and the reds, really need to put themselves a little sticky on the windows or the mirrors to remind them that they need to say I love you to someone important.
That's really great advice right there, because I think that when you look at the different personality types, we have a little bit of all of those in us, but we always have one that's our major default, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And under stress or challenging times, we'll go back to those things that feel natural to us, that are comfortable to us. And if saying I love you is a real challenge for you, then I think that it's really going to compound and make it harder when you come under those harsh times in your world and in your life. So if you, during the good times, if you can develop those really good habits, that's going to help you immensely, so that when you go through the challenging times of life, you're in the habit and the comfort level of being able to show appreciation and love for what your loved ones are going through with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I loved sitting here just listening to that. That was great. That was great. People are going to really benefit from hearing that, Don.
Well, what is the second one? So the first one is having a hard time saying I love you. The second one was
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Ooh, boy, that's really going to hurt the proud person, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
The proud person. And, you know, I find that people who have a hard time saying I'm sorry, or people who have a hard time acknowledging that, or even acknowledging that they have real pride issues, they don't have a reason to be proud. It's an insecurity. I wouldn't call it a flaw. I mean, that's probably not a fair thing to say. I mean, it is a flaw, but I don't know that I would want to be that crude about it. But I guess I just was that crude, wasn't I?
Well, you know, I'll just input right here. If the shoe fits, then take a second look at yourself and see where you need to go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Find out what is that insecurity or that driver that's just pushing you to have that ego that's so driven that you can't even acknowledge your own mistakes, your bad decisions, your willful neglects.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you know, I really would like to input right here that we have a tendency to want to hide when it comes to things that we don't want to look at in ourselves. You know, we'll play a game, we'll have our nose in a magazine, we'll be on the computer, we'll have to be running errands or going out to schedule events or play with friends or whatever it is that you do to hide. And we really need to face these things. Otherwise, how are you going to receive into your life not only those things that will help you to grow, but the intimacy that we want in our relationships?
Oh, that's beautiful, and you just set me up.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, what do you got to say?
Well, it goes back to my 8 values in my free ebook. When I talk about what are the if you want an authentic marriage, if you want authentic relationships, if you want an authentic life. Now, the title of the book is Marriage on Purpose, but the principles transcend everything in every relationship you have in life.
I just downloaded that, so I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, good, because what you get out of it is being able to go from transparency to confidence, which confidence is experiences repeated over and over, so that you can know and predict with certain patterns what someone's going to think, say, feel, or do. So that gives you a confidence to know what are your boundaries, right? That turns into trust because of the experiences, and trust goes into intimacy. And intimacy, folks, has nothing to do with sex. It's funny, I keep saying this every day, like 10 times I keep saying this. So if you've watched other Hangouts with me, this probably isn't the first time you've heard this one. But it is such a big deal to me that it's not about the physical action. Intimacy is emotional.
Oh, you know, I just had this picture in my head, and I've got to share this because people are going to relate. but you know, you're doing the thing, the dirty, dirty, the naughty, naughty, and someone comes at the door and you open the
There
door.
ain't nothing naughty about what I'm doing. It's beautiful.
You open the door and it's like, "Excuse me, but I'm being intimate here." And you slam the door again. This is not the kind of intimacy we're talking about.
Gotcha. Exactly. Oh, my word. That's good. That's the best laugh I've had in a couple of days. Oh, God. I think I'm blushing. Did I just turn the room red? Oh. So, but it's true. It's not really about the physical act. It's the emotional things. And you can do things that have nothing to do with sex that create intimacy, that deepen the trust. It's just, I like to say that intimacy is trust on steroids.
Oh yes, absolutely. Uh, um, when I am interfacing with a new client, I always say this one thing, and that is, where there is trust, there is healing. Where there is trust, there is intimacy. Where there is trust, there's an opening up. There's a sharing that can happen. You know, there's that place that we want to be in, where we're going to receive. And then that's really what we're talking about, isn't it? Is receiving into our lives those things that we need and want and desire.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about
I love you.
I love you and
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. And the third one?
Is,
I stumped her.
yeah, you sure did. Let's see. I love you, I'm sorry, and, oh Lord, can you remember it?
I'm complete drawn blank. This is not a good thing. It's exciting.
Hey, this is being real.
This is
It happens to us all.
Absolutely. But it was so good. It was the most profound one. Go find it.
Hang on a sec. Let's see.
We got so wrapped up in our runaround, and it was so good that we... Isn't it interesting how the mind works?
Yeah, it is. Huh.
Great. Just hang on a sec, folks. She's going to find this, and then you're going to be razzled and dazzled.
Yeah. Be right back. Let's see.
This is what makes these shows so fun, by the way, because you know these aren't scripted. We don't have sheets of paper in front of us. We're not making this stuff up on the fly. We're not following some organized chart. This is really us being real with what we've learned and what we want to share with people. And that's what makes this so interesting and enlightening for everyone who participates and everyone who watches. So while Veronica's looking that up real quick, I want to come back to those 8 values on intimacy. Because if you can't say, I'm sorry because your ego's so big, or I love you because you don't know how to connect with your emotions, communication unlocks all the doors to all your problems. And when you learn how to communicate with someone, then you learn how to go about achieving your dreams and your goals together. And that's where it all is. That's where life really happens. If you want fulfillment in your marriage, if you want fulfillment in your business, then it needs to have purpose for existing. And if your purpose for existing is just living together under one roof or just making money in a business, then that's the wrong reasons. We need to come back around to another space and another place of saying, I have a purpose and a vision and a reason for my marriage to exist. And that means that the two of you need to come together and work through your dreams and attach those things to goals and then go live your lives together in fulfillment and joy. And it just brings about so many great opportunities in life. So that's my short rant. Did you find it?
I did not. And I just don't know what to say. We're going to have to pick it up next week.
Well, let's do that, because I remember thinking that it was pretty powerful, and it stuck out in my mind for about 30 seconds, and then we got into our conversation, and then it just kind of flew the coo.
It sure did. It sure did. But that's okay. We will definitely bring it in to next week, and we'll have a good conversation. And that will inspire people to want to come back.
Absolutely. So please do that. Same time, same place next week. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this two ways. You ready? We're going to do this at 1 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Pacific.
There we go.
Every Tuesday. So I can't say every Tuesday afternoon or every Tuesday morning. Just every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific.
There we go.
I feel like I'm network television.
That's awesome, Don. And if you want to find Don, you can find him at facebook.com /Don Purdum or donpurdum.com, and you can find me at veronicaschultz.com, or thesoulwhispers.com, or facebook.com /Veronica Schultz. So we hope that you connect with us. We would love to talk with you, to get to know you. And please, again, we're going to invite you to give us some questions you might have that you would like us to talk about. We may not be able to hit that next week, but the week after we don't have anything set yet. So do post what you'd like us to chat about.
Great, great. Well, awesome time today. We look forward to seeing everyone next week. And Veronica, thank you so much.
It was beautiful, Don.
See everyone next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.